I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, I'm delighted to introduce you to an amazing children's author. Her name is Suzanne Varney, and she brings to life the enchanting journey of Lacy, Lexy, and Lucy in a series of books called the Super-Duper Triplets. Book one is Colorful Birthday, the Super-Duper Triplets. Book one. That's right, you guessed it. We're going to dive into this colorful tale and others and witness the triplets' wonderful adventures. We are delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel. Suzanne, so good to see you today.
You as well. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Loved your books. They're fun, they're colorful, they're imaginative, and the whole concept of triplets on these great adventures, I think, really must capture children's imaginations. What's been the reception like when you've read these books to kids?
Oh, it's been wonderful. A lot of children, they like to read them over and over again as well because it's repetitive, and so it's an easy read, and they're fun little stories.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the covers that caught my eye, and I know would be a favorite when I was a kid, because I was fascinated by them, particularly when I watched Gumby, and that's the robots. So there's an adventure now with Lacy, Lexy, and Lucy in like Robot Land or something. Tell me about that.
Okay, so we have Remarkable Robot.
Oh,
Okay,
there it is.
and
Yeah, it's
what
very
it
cool.
is the triplets need to help. Like, see, what it is the triplets, when they hold hands,
Mhm.
they have magical abilities to enter books. Okay, so what they're doing is trying to help Hexa enter the shapes wall so that she can join her family. And in order to do that, the triplets have to learn their shapes. Okay, so what they do is they go to school, and each day they'll learn a different shape. And so it's kind of, educational because let me show you an example here.
Sure.
For example, okay, so can you see?
Yep.
Okay, so it shows like on Tuesday that they learn about squares. So then Lacy makes a purple square with a purple crayon. Lexy makes a black square with a black crayon. And Lucy makes an orange square with an orange crayon. So,
It's reinforcing
repetitive. So
colors, reinforcing shapes.
yes,
Yeah, and also
absolutely.
even in the writing and the text there, it's showing the color purple, the color orange, the color
Yeah.
black. So there's a lot of reinforcement going on. I love that. I love that. Why triplets? So have you been exposed to triplets in the past? Have they captured your imagination somehow?
We've had quite a few twins in our family, but I went with the triplets because of the children learning better by repetitive, and I thought
Yeah.
it would be best to have three kids instead.
And plus, that really captures a kid's imagination. I don't think I've ever actually met a group of triplets.
No.
They are pretty rare. Even in
Yes.
today's modern scientific world of lab created babies, you don't see three of them too often. So that's
Right.
awesome. And I also love their names. I mean, you got a little alliteration there with Lacy, Lexy, and Lucy. So you got a lot going on. So you've got the colorful birthday, you've got their robot adventure. Let's talk about some of their other adventures.
Okay, so we have Wonderful Christmas. Okay,
Hmm.
and this one talks about patterns, sizes. It prompts discussion for fire safety, like a fire safety plan,
Hmm.
and family traditions. Now, my husband is a fire captain, and he's gone into schools and asked the children, who have a fire safety plan, and not too many kids raise their hands. So I think it's great that the families could talk about maybe developing a plan. We've always, like, my children have always had the tree in the front yard. So
Right.
if they hear the fire alarm go off, they have to go to the tree, and then we know that they're safe there, and they wait until we say it's safe to come back in. And
Great.
that's in the book as well.
Awesome. So there's another lesson there on fire safety, which is important for kids as well. And again, blended with Christmas, which, as far as I know, kids are still crazy about. So
Right.
that's got a lot of appeal there too. So I think you had 4 or 5 books, so right? You've got a couple
I
more?
I have Magical Unicorn, okay?
Okay.
And this one teaches about months of the year. So together, they cover quite a bit. Like
Yeah,
it's
you're
a great
covering.
little series. Um, Again, this is where they discover that they have magical abilities. And so they enter the book to help Rainbow the unicorn find her horn. So there's also teamwork as well, because they end up asking the unicorns there to help them as well. So yeah, it's fun that way as well. And
Yeah.
let me show you how it is. So like, for example, in January, I looked under the ice. In February, I looked in puddles. In March, I looked at the end of the rainbow, says Rainbow. And then what? So it does cover all the months of the year, which will be very helpful. And they, by seeing it, they'll learn how to spell the months as well, and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still having trouble with the month February myself. I'm not sure what that R is. So yeah, that'd be great. The illustrations are wonderful. Tell me about your
Yes.
collaboration with whomever your illustrator is.
Okay, so that's Pia Ray's, and my publisher is through Friesen Press. Okay,
Mhm.
so they're the ones that created the 4 books, and the illustrator is Pia. So I've never met her, but we've communicated, and she does a fantastic job.
Yeah, yeah, really brings the story to life. And speaking of bringing the story to life, have you envisioned this as perhaps like a series of animated cartoons or something like that?
I have, yes.
Yeah,
I believe that this could be a huge franchise opportunity in books and TV, because they enter books. So it could be any book. It could be, about health. It could be
right.
about like a scary book or a mystery or anything scary. Like, so honestly, the next volume though, I believe I'm going to make them a little bit older, like around the 12-year-old range,
Hmm.
so that it'll target the middle grade level.
This sounds great. Sounds great. In fact, I referenced Gumby before. I think all of his adventures took place in Storyland. Have you ever watched the Gumby
Yes.
claymation? Yes. Okay. I was fascinated by that and the blockheads when I was a kid. So it's all I talk about. I talk about it in every interview. No, I'm only kidding. Uh, you seem to know a lot about children, a lot about education. Tell me about a little bit about your interests there.
I actually work for a school. Okay.
Okay.
But like I worked in the office for short term, but I still work for the Board of Education, but I work in a different capacity. So
Mhm.
it's with newcomers. So in order for the newcomers, like the refugees, to go to school, they have to actually have an interview with us, and then we have to just find out what their levels are and recommend them for some training. But it's mainly for like English training or French training.
Wonderful,
So
wonderful. Now, being part of the school district, have you had the opportunity to go to a classroom or a library setting to read your books?
Um, I haven't, but I have donated books to some of the schools that I was actually in. Yes, and the students love them.
Wonderful, wonderful. As far as a writer goes, were these the first books you ever written, or had you written longer stuff or adult fiction, that kind of stuff before?
These are the first children's books, but I'm actually a screenplay writer. That's what I started with. And
Great.
so I was working on a screenplay for a few years, and it started getting some attention. Okay, so what happened was it started placing on the quarterfinalist list. And I thought, you know what, this is not good enough. So I ripped it apart and resubmitted, and then it started hitting the semifinalist list. And
Great.
then in the end, again, it wasn't good enough for me. So I redid it and ended up placing on 2 finalist lists, and that's out of thousands of people.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
these screenwriting competitions are not for chumps. They they're serious competitions with people from all over the country, all over the world. I've submitted screenplays myself. I think maybe I was some kind of semi-quarter eighth of a finalist once. So I totally admire the fact that one, you kept on going. Two, you did the hard work of constantly rewriting and taking the input. And then finally, doing very, very well in these competitions. They're not easy at all. What was the theme of your screenplay, by the way?
Okay, so right now, it's still in the works. Okay,
Yep.
it is about self-acceptance. But what happened was once it got the attention on the finalist list, I brought on a writing partner, Michael Birkenbein,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been polishing it even further. Okay,
Great.
so now it's in its final stages, and we've made it into a book. So we hope to release it in a few months. It's called Little Miss Riley Bell and the Shrinking Spell. And Michael Birkenbein, he's actually very well known in the entertainment industry.
Mm-hmm.
He's worked for Disney and Sony and Warner Brothers, Universal. So
So is this going to be like young adult type of fiction?
um, well, it's kind of like a Disney type
Okay.
movie or like book. And
Right.
what it is it's kind of like the Little Mermaid. It's
Right.
Little Mermaid-ish. Okay, but it is a novel. I'm sorry, a chapter book for targeted to middle grade right now.
Gotcha. Well, that sounds
Yeah.
wonderful as well. So you've got a screenplay of that. You've got a book version of that. You've
Yes.
got 5 of the Super-Duper Triplets
Four.
books. Oh, 4. Sorry.
Yeah.
I need one of the Super-Duper Triplet books about counting. I need the Super-Duper
Next.
Quadruplets so I can count to 4. I got it mixed up with quintuplets. I have that era. But these books are great. Again, the name is the Super-Duper Triplets. Colorful Birthday is book 1. And why don't you go through the names of the other books as well?
Okay. Wonderful Christmas is book 2.
Mhm.
Magical Unicorn, book 3. And Remarkable Robot is book 4.
Okay, and I vote for Remarkable Robot. That's the one I would start with and then work my way backwards. But, I am an outlier. But they're great books. You'll love the stories. You will love the illustrations. The kids are learning a lot within the pages of these books as well. Everything from colors to shapes to the months of the year, which, as I mentioned before, I'm still working on. Suzanne, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Lots of fun. Love talking about your books. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.